Semifinal coverage here at Grand Prix Memphis. I'm Brian David Marshall, joined in the booth by Pro Tour champion Jake Van Loon. And Jake, you ever get tired of hearing Pro Tour champion?
No, never. Not once in my life.
Two players looking to add that title to their resume. Hunter Cochran and Aaron Barich looking to become Grand Prix champions. Hunter Cochran, Grixis Energy, he was the 8th seed. Aaron Barich, the Sultai Constrictor player, the 5th seed. And Aaron Barich, if you've seen any of these Sultai Constrictor decks, the Winding Constrictor deck with the climb in there.
I have. These
If
decks
you've seen
are
those,
really
if you've seen
exciting.
any of those decks as 5-0s,
I have a couple.
Those are him. That's actually him playing that deck online. What do you like in this matchup between Grixis Energy and Sultai Constrictor?
So I think one of the problems for Sultai Constrictor in this matchup is that there's a lot of spot removal out of the Grixis Energy deck, and the Sultai Constrictor deck really wants to assemble kind of these creature combos.
I've got 3 words for you. Blossoming defenses. Maybe that's 4 words.
Yeah, and I mean, Aaron is playing 3 copies of Blossoming Defense here, and he also has cards like Jade Light Ranger that are really good at kind of getting him back into the game against some amount of removal. So even if his opponent has a lot of removal, Aaron Barich's deck is set up in such a way that it's somewhat resistant to that. So that's kind of been the problem of Constrictor decks in the past, but Bristling Hydra is a big upgrade for this deck.
There you get a look at Hunter Cochran's Grixis Energy deck. This is his 4th Grand Prix top 8, Hunter Cochran, really putting together a nice little run for himself. He was 7-0-1 on day 1, went 5-2 today, and kind of was that last player into the top 8.
Yeah, this is an interesting list. I really like that he has Confiscation Coup. We've now noticed that multiple of the Grixis Energy players that made the top 8 of this Grand Prix are playing Confiscation Coup, and that's a card that we saw almost none of in the 5-0 list on Magic Online.
Yeah, and we would see it as kind of like a once in a while choice in the sideboards and old energy lists, but becoming more and more common here as the decks have all gotten a little more mid-range and about like one last threat standing.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful spell, and it's going to be something people look to going forward. Here, we talked about the deck's susceptibility to removal, but you'll see the 3 copies of Blossoming Defense here and 4 copies of Bristling Hydra. And with those cards, Aaron Barich is able to really punish opponents who think that their spot removal is going to be the best way to beat this deck. And while it's still one of the stronger ways to beat this deck, there are tons of cards here that just punish the opponent for playing spot removal. There's Jade Light Ranger, there's Walking Ballista, there's Blossoming Defense, and there's Bristling Hydra.
All right, well, it sounds like the players are ready to go here. Give me a pick here. What do you think comes out on top?
I'm going to say Aaron Barich.
Okay, it's hard for me to root against the guy playing the Adonis Climb deck, but 2 great players here. We'll see how it plays out. Leading off with a Servant of the Conduit for Aaron Barich, 2 energy. And let's see how Hunter Cochran can get his threats deployed to the battlefield. You think about just killing that Servant right here?
I think so. The problem is that your removal's kind of spread thin, and if you use spot removal spell on something like Servant, then you might not have one for something like Winding Constrictor that can take game over by itself.
But is this going to be... it's a turn 3 Walking Ballista for 2. Gets to kill the Glint Sleeve Siphoner. It could have been scary, though. That could have been a Bristling Hydra.
Yeah, if that was a Bristling Hydra, the game would have been all but over, probably, for Hunter Cochran.
We see Field of Ruin is going to take down the Blossoming Marsh. Now, is Hunter Cochran really trying to set Aaron back, or is he trying to maybe smooth out his own mana here?
I think there's a bit of a combination of the 2 things. Hunter, he really needs to make sure that he has a red source where he doesn't need to expend energy. And at the same time, he realizes that Aaron Barich, if he's able to take away that marsh, is going to have not the greatest mana. I mean, with the Servant, it's still fine, but I think more than anything, Hunter's just trying to fix his own mana here. Set himself up to cast a Magma Spray.
Right, gets the Magma Spray away. Another mana source there, so just cutting off maybe Aaron's paths to having the best possible mana. But Aaron gets to attack. Plays tapped land and has to just say go.
And because the land came into play tapped, he's not even going to be able to put another counter on this Walking Ballista. It looks like he doesn't have much more in the way of threats in his hand. Actually, no, I think he may have a Bristling Hydra.
I think he does have a Bristling Hydra that he's been slow playing here. So Magma Spray. Oh, on the Walking Ballista, Blossoming Defenses to save it. Interesting. So he's going to attack. Plays, attacks Chandra for 1, plays the Bristling Hydra, goes up to 4 energy. And that is going to be a troublesome card. It's a 2-for-1, even if Hunter Cochran can deal with it. Because it's going to require a spell or an ability, something, a commitment of resources, and then he'll pay 3 energy, and then he'll have to do something else.
Exactly. Hunter Cochran's going to need to expend 2 powerful 2-mana removal spells if he wants to get it off the table. He could hypothetically tick down his Chandra here, and then when Aaron goes to activate the ability on Bristling Hydra, he could use a removal spell to get rid of it. But if he does that, then his Chandra is in range to just be shot by the Walking Ballista.
Again, one of the things to remember about Aaron Barich's deck is he is playing Hadana's Climb, and so he's done some really nasty things with that card and able to steal some wins out of nowhere with Bristling Hydra.
Yeah, making a Bristling Hydra fly, giving it a
so
double power.
That Bristling
Pretty
Hydra
nice.
just ate a Harness Lightning and a Chandra, and oh, by the way, there's another Bristling Hydra waiting in the wings.
Yeah, Hunter Cochran just expended a lot of resources to clear that board, and here now Aaron showing us why Bristling Hydra was one of the best cards in Standard before the bannings.
All right, here's a Glint Sleeve Siphoner. And in comes the Hydra, and then, boy, we've just seen the Glint Sleeve Siphoners get so much respect all tournament long. Really hard pressed to let one live. But, oh, here's a Scarab God from Hunter Cochran.
And interesting there for...
But speaking of things you just don't want to let live, there is the Vraska's Contempt for the God. It exiles it. It won't be coming back. And Aaron Barich fully on the front foot here.
Yeah, Aaron, he went down to 2 energy there. There was a little bit of a window for the Hydra to die, but because Hunter had tapped all of his mana for Scarab God, he had no fear and was able to draw that extra card there.
Aaron's going to go down to 1 energy here. But he's going to play a huge Ballista, and that's going to be game 1 to Aaron Barich. Sultai Constrictor over Hunter Cochran and Grixis Energy. So he's been playing this game a lot. I talked to Aaron. He said he's been playing Magic since he was 5.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
How does a 5-year-old play Magic? It's a little bit complicated for a 5-year-old.
Well, if your dad teaches you how to play, that's how you get into playing Magic when you're 5. So he would play with his dad. Has stories about going to PTQs with his brother and his dad. They would travel to PTQs together. So Dad's at home watching right now, and got to be pretty excited. Aaron's been to 2 Pro Tours previous. His first Pro Tour was the same first Pro Tour as his friend from his local friend, Donald Smith. And so he and Donald qualified for the first Pro Tour together. Donald Smith, of course, requalified at that event for another Pro Tour. Aaron didn't. And says, pretty honestly, he's like, man, I am super jealous of Donald. I am so jealous of Donald. He put together all these great finishes. Now he works at Wizards. He's a game designer. He's like, how cool is that? And, definitely saw a little bit of fuel for him to follow that path.
I think Donald's probably a little bit jealous of Aaron right now.
It's true. Anytime you get inside the ivory tower of Wizards because you see someone in a competitive environment doing well, you're like, oh, man, I wish I was playing.
Yeah, the warrior king, You want to get off the throne and take your sword back out.
Hunter Cochran also chasing someone down said this top 8 lets him widen the gap between him and Alan Wu in terms of top 8 experience. So getting his 4th Grand Prix top 8 here.
If I noticed anything from that first game that we just watched, it's how good Bristling Hydra still is.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is like the Sultai Constrictor deck here that Aaron's playing is like a pummeler combo without ever having to play the really fragile, not so impressive electrostatic pummeler, right? A card that's just really just a house of cards. Like, oh yeah, I can still abrade it. This is a deck that's really sweet, and those Hadana's Climbs with the Bristling Hydra really give you a lot of opportunity to close the game out. We didn't know why Aaron was playing a certain way. We hadn't fully figured out what his deck was during one of the rounds that Reed and Marshall were doing. And all of a sudden he's like untaps with the Bristling Hydra, which he was just unwilling to put into combat defensively. And he's like, Hadana's Climb, put the 3rd counter on it,
into
attack,
the air,
kill you in the air. Yeah. Something like 16 points of damage coming over out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
and
the Hydra's the best pummeler of all.
yeah, it's just great. And again, also has just synergies with the Winding Constrictor and all that good stuff. So a fun deck. He said the Winding Constrictor never lives, though.
Yeah, I mean it's a flag bearer. Sometimes it does, and then you know that everything's in the clear. You can just go off and do whatever you want to do. Taking a look here at Hunter Cochran's Grixis Energy list. Some interesting choices here. I really like the variety that he's brought to the table. The pair of Champion of Wits. We've seen that card do a lot of work this weekend, especially when it's played in smaller numbers. When you play a whole lot of them, you end up sometimes with multiples in your hand. It's not really the card you want to be playing on turn 3. It doesn't really affect the board that much. Your opponent can sometimes ignore it and advance their board state. But in the later stages of the game, that Eternalize, that gets you really far ahead and gives this deck an edge in control matchups where some of the other Grixis Energy decks might have a lot of trouble. Another thing we see here is a single copy of Field of Ruin. And earlier in this tournament, we watched Search for Azcanta just completely demolish Grixis Energy decks. And even though Hunter is playing 3 colors, he sees, okay, I can't beat Search for Azcanta once it flips over. Maybe it's worth it to include this one Field of Ruin in my deck.
By the way, also worth mentioning, pretty good against Donna's Climb if you can get into a position where you're not just dead that turn.
That's definitely true.
We see two Hadana's Climbs in the opening hand here for Aaron Barich. Wonder if he's going to be able to keep that hand. Don't see a lot of creatures. But yeah, no, both going to keep. We're going to see a duress battle here. Shows him the 2 Hadana's Climbs, but also he's going to see that duress.
Trying to hide that duress a little bit. No, you definitely want to take one of these climbs, right? The legendary card.
Legendary enchantment. Look, who's ever climbing the steps to Hadana, he's got those like light up sneakers that all the kids like to wear.
I think that's Hadana.
That is Hadana.
Hadana climbing.
Wonderful. Hadana has the same footwear as my 5-year-old neighbor.
So you could see where they're going when you're in the dark,
Yeah, and duress your duress. A play as old as duress.
Yes. I like that they both have Saga Duresses also.
Yeah. You actually can't, if there's like trick trump rules, like if you actually duress with a Saga Duress, with a non-Saga Duress, and your opponent has a Saga Duress, you can't take it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well then you definitely need to get the Saga ones.
There's a Hadana's Climb that gets duressed away here on turn 2. But Hadana's Climb is just going to, he's like, you know what, I'm going to get that down on the ground right now, just in case you have the 3rd duress. And Hunter just passes the turn here.
Yeah, Hunter not with much action here. Definitely a reactive hand.
There is a Winding Constrictor. You're going to have to move those creatures. There we go.
Yeah, and
there
I
we
mean,
go, Aaron. Creatures in front.
this Winding Constrictor is going to get 2 +1/+1 counters from Hadana's Climb if Hunter doesn't kill it right away, which I imagine he will, for what it's worth.
Yep, does kill it right away before we can get to the point where the climb triggers. But
Hunter needs a 4th land. Does he find it? He does.
now we're going to see Bristling Hydra here.
I imagine he's going to want to wait until he has his opponent either tapped out or he has 3 energy already at the ready to cast that Bristling Hydra. If he just runs it out here, then he risks it dying to a removal spell, and that's a really important card for him.
Could just make an 8/8 Verdurous Gear Hulk.
An 8/8 Verdurous Gear Hulk is definitely an option. It would probably force his opponent to tap out on the following turn.
But instead, he's going to make a 2/2 Walking Ballista. And again, a really nice interaction here with the Hadana's Climb.
Yeah, I mean, if the Hadana's Climb trigger is able to resolve here, then that would flip over.
It's going to get abraded, and Aaron's going to throw a couple damage in Hunter's direction there.
Yeah, Hunter able to find another land off the top there. That's what he wants to see.
All right, here's Glint Sleeve Siphoner. And Aaron's just like, I'm just going to keep pulling stuff off the top of my deck, putting it into play, see what you have to say about it. Okay. So now Vraska's Contempt takes out the Glint Sleeve Siphoner.
And now Aaron has that very important 3rd energy. So this means that he can cast Bristling Hydra, and he doesn't have to worry about it dying to a removal spell with the energy trigger on the stack.
6th land for Hunter Cochran. All right, Aaron. Oh, Aaron might just continue to just run. No, he is going to run out.
This is what he's been waiting for all along.
Here it comes, Bristling Hydra. Then it gets a counter from Hadana's Climb. So now it's a 5/4.
And, I mean, if he can put more counters on it by spending energy, he can flip that climb.
But now Hunter's drawn, so he's got the Whirler Virtuoso. He's got some answer in the air, at least for a turn. See the Bristling Hydra attacked. No blocks, it looked like. Oh, interesting. How much damage could Aaron have snuck through there? If he just put the counter... Oh, no, because the counter...
Yeah,
it's upon the trigger from
the
It's not a 3rd counter. It's a counter from the Hadana's Climb. All right, 5 lands.
Ye old post-combat Verdurous Gear Hulk.
Not something we've seen very often. Verdurous Gear Hulk, of course, has trample, so it's going to be able to stymie those Thopter plans for blocking in the air. A fine target to double the power of. Hunter's at 14.
Now, Hunter does have a very nice one in hand here, though, in the form of Confiscation Coup.
Ooh.
That can steal this 7/7 trample.
He is going to steal. Wow.
Of course, we know that Aaron Barrett's going to win this turn because he's going to put a counter on, he's going to flip, then he's going to double the power, and that's going to be
There you go. Hadana's Climb in the Winding Constrictor deck. Winding Constrictor deck, the first deck that we saw in the post-Kaladesh Standard era.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is even before we got to the Pro Tour. Brendan DiCandio built that deck and won an Open with it. And that deck was dominant for a big chunk until the energy decks really took over. And now we see Aaron going back to that well and using some new tools from Rivals of Ixalan in Hadana's Climb and a little bit of playing around with the mana base to make it almost very similar in some ways, in some play patterns, to the Pummeler decks that we've seen.
Yeah, I think Hadana's Climb in conjunction with Bristling Hydra is an incredible interaction, and it seems like Aaron really found the best home for that, or the best home that's been found thus far, at least. He's on his way to the finals here.
He's been playing Magic since he was 5.
It's where he's supposed to be.
Here he is. He's for his first Grand Prix top 8. And you know what? Maybe he's going to be a Grand Prix champion. To be like, Dad, remember when you taught me how to play Magic? Look what I got. A trophy. We're going to check in on another match right now. We've got Tyler Schroeder playing Red-Green Monsters. You can see his deck here. Jake, why don't you walk us through a little bit about this deck?
All right, so it's very much just an aggressive tap-out type of deck.
Okay, and then he's playing against Matthew Kling, who's playing Grixis Energy. This deck looks pretty similar to the one we just saw, so let's head down and catch up with what's going on here. Matt Kling up a game here in the semifinals against the Red-Green Monsters deck. See if we can figure out where we're at. Looks like Glorybringer doing dragon things.
Yes, as it does.
Oh, and look at this. We've seen someone, Tyler, has cast Survive. He has shuffled both graveyards back into the players' libraries. He's played the backside of Struggle to Survive.
Yeah, and this is a really cool way that the Red-Green Monsters deck deals with the Scarab God. They use Struggle, and they kill the Scarab God by dealing it damage equal to the number of lands they control.
And you think that is
survive.
Exactly the card that is been shuffled into Matthew Kling's deck from his graveyard?
Yes, I would wager my life upon it.
He did have 5 mana tapped, and it looks like Tyler Schroeder did all of that on his turn. He could have also killed it with the Glorybringer there.
Yeah, but it was really interesting. You see a red-green deck, and you expect it to have no pure answer to a card like the Scarab God, but then they play Struggle to Survive.
All right, here's Chandra. Torture Defiance, and it's going to shoot down the Glorybringer. I mean, the Glorybringer knows what it did. And Matt Kling looks to have got his Scarab God, we believe, shuffled away, but seems to be in a pretty good spot right here. Working the Glint Sleeve Siphoner, shaking the camera mounts. It has a Planeswalker sort of begging to be dealt with.
I believe both those are in the graveyard.
Is that a Resilient Kenra in the graveyard?
It is. It's a card you really want to eternalize when you already have something on the battlefield, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
How about something like maybe a Carnage Tyrant?
That's a really, really nice card to have in play when you're eternalizing a Resilient Kenra, because you're going to give it +4/+4. Your opponent can't really do anything about that. And then it's smashing in for 11 trample damage. And hey, what's your opponent's life total? 11!
How convenient. Oh, his opponent's life is actually a 10.
That is more relevant with only 1 toughness there on the battlefield.
And he's going to go to... Oh, he went to 10 after drawing a card from Glint Sleeve Siphoner.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to attack here.
And that is enough toughness to survive. Tyler may even be incentivized to simply kill the Chandra here. Prevent himself from losing a race that he would otherwise.
And if he attacks the Chandra, Matt's pretty happy with that. All right, here's Resilient Kenra. 4/4 when it comes into play, target creature gets +4/+4. Here's another Resilient Kenra. Well, this is actually 13
trample damage. So
points of trampling damage.
Yeah, Matt Kling. He has to make a Thopter, chump block with both the Whirler Virtuoso and the Thopter token, and then he goes down to 1 life. So he'll be at a lowly 1, and all he'll have in play is that Glint Sleeve Siphoner and the Chandra. And the problem is the next turn, he has an Ashep Oasis, which he could use to pump this Carnage Tyrant up to a 10 power trample hexproof monster.
Oh, but he's going to gain 2 from using Vraska's Contempt on the 4/4 token.
So he'll go to 3 as opposed to 1.
Can he find a way here to deal 10 damage or somehow contain this Carnage Tyrant? Or are we going to get a game 3?
Seems really difficult for his list to muster up an answer.
He's like, well, let's see what the top of my deck says. All right, well, that's 2 points of damage. You're at 8. Yeah, the Hashep Oasis definitely looming large here as well. Supreme Will is going to go digging for something. He's like, I'm not sure what it could be.
Yeah, I've got his deck list in front of me, and I'm not sure what it could be. So.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tough to find it. Maybe Gonti Lord of Luxury would have bought him some time. I don't know, but no, it's not. We're going to get a game 3 here as Matt Kling and Tyler Schroeder want to see who is going to advance to fight against Aaron Barrich in the finals of Grand Prix Memphis.
Aaron Barrich made short work of his opponent, both in the quarters and the semis.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to keep. So I've got to head down his climb now. I'm going to play this creature. Does it live? No. How about this one? Does it live? No. How about this one? Oh, really? You can't kill it? Great. You're dead.
Aaron Barrich's deck also has a card that I've been pretty impressed with out of these Constrictor decks in the new standard, which is Cartouche of Ambition, which has been one of the better ways to beat these red strategies.
Cartouche of Ambition for...
Yeah, you give your guy lifelink, make it bigger, kill one of their guys. It's a deal. Now, in this matchup, though, I think being on the play is really important. There, we saw Matt Kling. He was far behind. We joined into the game, and he was already kind of getting attacked by a Glorybringer. He was trying to fight his way back in with a Chandra. The Chandra got to stick around for a little while, but a Carnage Tyrant was just too much for him to deal with, and I think Matt Kling's deck is just soft to Carnage Tyrant in a way that the only way he can get it off the table is by blocking it with a Death Touch creature or just throwing tons and tons of power in front of it. And that's not really the best way to do it when you're playing against a deck that has access to pump in the form of Hashep Oasis and or Resilient Kenra.
Tyler Schroeder top-aided Grand Prix Omaha last year, by the way. He played Marvel in that top 8, one of 6 players. One of 6 players playing Marvel who top 8, so you can see why he might have gotten a little bit lost in the crowd there.
That deck was some good. The deck was not easy to play, though.
But this
sometimes it was.
This is definitely a breakout finish for Matt Kling, though. No notable finishes to speak of for him. A bunch of players going to their first PT, experience this weekend. This is his first PT qualification. He has, says no previous Magic accomplishments. He also said no card surprised him this weekend. Works at Oasis Games. Went 8-0 on day 1, 4-2-1 today. But he's going to be playing in his first Pro Tour.
And he was the last undefeated player left standing here this weekend.
Yeah. Says he owes a lot to Matt Hinderaker, or Michael Hinderaker, who told him to play Commit to Memory. And so he played that, and he said that was a big part of his success. Here you see Matt get things underway with Search for his counter card that has continued to impress since we first saw it in play at the World Championship in Boston late last year.
Yeah, just such a key card for these control decks. Ramping them on a key turn, making sure the draws are smooth, and then almost acting as a win condition in the later stages of the game by burying the opponent in an overwhelming amount of card advantage.
Merfolk Branchwalker comes down for Tyler Schroeder. He bins another Merfolk Branchwalker. Looking for something else, a little more specific. Wow, Matt Kling says, I don't want Harness Lightning. I want to put that in my yard with Search for Escanta. We've really gotten a sense of how badly players want to transform their Search for Escanta. You know, you can't just kill something and get that card in the yard the same way, but obviously just he's looking for something else off the top of his deck beyond just a removal spell. So here is...
Yeah, Deathgorge Scavenger is going to exile that Harness Lightning, and that's going to mean that Matt Kling's going to have to wait a little bit longer before he's able to flip that Search for Azcanta. In addition to that, it also means that a Torrential Gear Hulk that Matt Kling could potentially have will be quite a bit worse.
I mean, but Magma Spray takes care of the Scavenger before anything shenanigan-y happens, and it is, in fact, exiled from the game itself. We call that irony.
And another Harness Lightning there, getting bitten by Matt Kling.
Nope, not what I'm looking for.
And Tyler's got to smell either a commit and or a Vraska's Contempt here.
How about a Harness Lightning? He's like, I've already got all these Harness Lightnings.
Yeah, now Tyler probably happy to slam a Phoenix down onto the table. You got Kling to tap some mana here.
Matt Kling playing Essence Scanner?
He is not. Remember, these players have each other's deck lists. It's the top 8.
Matt Kling continues to churn good cards into the graveyard. He's got some plan that he's trying for, and it seems to involve transforming Search for Escanta. Plays a Whirler Virtuoso. It's 5 energy, so he can make 1 Thopter.
Rekindling Phoenix comes in. This means that Matt Kling does not have another Magma Spray, otherwise he would have made the Thopter and then used it on the Phoenix.
A second Rekindling Phoenix for Tyler Schroeder.
Yeah, and Matt Kling did not have a Vraska's Contempt for the first Phoenix, so this means he's pretty up against it at this stage of the game.
Wow. Pitcher's Confiscation coup here.
That's very surprising to me because that's one of the better answers to Rekindling Phoenix in this standard format.
What is his plan here?
Haven't got a good look at his hand quite yet. If I'm Tyler and Matt bin to Confiscation Coup, I'm legitimately terrified.
No, maybe that what he was looking for was that 5th land.
That's definitely a possibility.
Oh, boy.
Is it Carnage Tyrant time?
Oh, yeah.
May the carnage commence.
All right, 2 Rekindling Phoenixes attack here. All right, one of them is going to get Vraska's Contempted.
And this is interesting. Tyler thinking about killing his own Rekindling Phoenix.
He's thinking about playing Struggle on his Kindling Phoenix. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a reasonable play here for Tyler to think about because in doing so, his Phoenix is going to the graveyard. He'll get that Elemental, the egg, if you will, and Matt Kling will not be gaining the 2 life off the Vraska's Contempt, and it also forces Matt Kling to spend mana on the following turn to deal with the Elemental. And
wow. He's really thinking about it, too. He's
Yeah.
still in the tank.
If he had a 6th land, he probably wouldn't be thinking that hard because Carnage Tyrant would be an obvious
Yes.
play. But if you only have access to 5 mana this turn, you want to do something aggressive. I really like that line.
He's going to let it go. Matt's going to gain 2. He's going to take 4. Well, actually, he's not going to take any. He's going to block with a Thopter token. Tyler does have that 6th land, but it comes into play tapped. Oh, and another Deathgorge Scavenger. What is he going to get out of there? Does he get that Vraska's Contempt out?
I think he'll likely take out the Confiscation Coup. Okay.
Passes the turn back to Matt. What great card can Matt put into his graveyard this turn? All right, he decides he likes it. It's a 6th land. And the Scarab God hits the table. So we may get to see that same play that we speculated about earlier. So, yep, here we go. Struggle to survive, killing your Scarab God. Now cast Survive. We're both going to shuffle our graveyards into our libraries. This is awesome. But
Oh, a great play
Yeah,
here
this
from
is-
Matt Kling. Matt Kling saving that Chandra's defeat so that he
Wow.
can use it on Rekindling Phoenix in response to the survive side of Struggle to Survive. And that means that even though Tyler is going to get that elemental from the Rekindling Phoenix, there will be no Phoenix in his graveyard to come back on the following turn.
wow. The players are just making sure they're not shuffling exiled cards in, making sure everything makes sense. Has Matt Kling just turned a corner here?
It looks like Matt Kling is in a very reasonable position. That Search for Azcanta is going to smooth out draw steps for Matt. And the truth is, though, is that we know what's in Tyler's hand. And Tyler's
the Carnage
last
Tyrant.
card is a Carnage Tyrant. And when Matt Kling is hoping to, smooth out his draws with a Search for Azcanta, that doesn't match up too well against
Yeah.
a
Tyler Schroeder's looking to
7-power
smooth out the red zone.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Tap
Well
my
then.
deck. They're all the Scarab God. All right, here's Carnage Tyrant. Of course, Scarab God looking a little worse at the moment.
Yeah, nothing in the graveyard quite yet.
It's a magma spray in the yard. And he's going to cycle. Wow. What can... All right, another Whirler Virtuoso. That gets him up to 6 energy. That means he's going to be able to make 2 tokens. Can he,
Yeah.
can he muster a block here?
Yeah,
He sure
I
can.
don't think Tyler can attack here.
Oh, but he does...
That may change things.
That may change the math. We see Ronus the Indomitable. We also see an Earthshaker Kenra in hand.
Yeah, another nice one there. And this Ronus will be turned on somewhat, basically permanently because of the Carnage Tyrant. Matt Kling, in his deck, he has access to both Commit and Vraska's Contempt as clean answers to that Ronus the Indomitable. I doubt Tyler wants to send with the Carnage Tyrant just yet.
He's
Like-
just going to send with Deathgorge Scavenger.
I like this attack here. He's exiling that Magma Spray, and that's going to mean that this Deathgorge Scavenger has 4 power, so it's currently a 4/3.
And Tyler Schroeder's going to use Ronus to make that bigger, tramplier.
Yeah, now a 6-3 with trample. Of course, there's a bit of a drawback to making an attack like that, because now Matt Kling can use the Scarab God to return a Whirler Virtuoso back to play.
Oh.
And he's got to be pretty happy about that.
All right, discards Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Now still in his upkeep. Yep, he is going to bring back the Whirler Virtuoso. Oh man, this is exciting.
Yeah, another 3 energy here.
It's got a considerable amount of toughness on the board all of a sudden. Gets the Scry.
And Tyler may have gotten a little bit ahead of himself there, attacking and using the Ronus Pump.
Passes the turn back. All right, Tyler. What have you got?
Now, Carnage Tyrant. Still looming. Matt Kling, though, putting together a really impressive board here. And currently, Sling Light Carnage Tyrant's probably not going to be enough. Matt Kling has a Glint Sleeve Siphoner and a Death Gorge Scavenger, which he could reanimate with that Scarab God. Tyler, without another copy, of Struggle to Survive here.
How many does he play? 2?
He's got 2 in the main and 1 on the board.
Okay. There's an Earthshaker. It says your normal-sized Whirler Virtuoso can't block. And you know what? Tyler's feeling frisky.
He's trying to get this game done and over with. Says if this game goes longer, you're the guy playing Search for Azcanta, you're the guy with Scarab God. I'm not going to win. I need to end this one quick.
All right. Tyler puts considerable amount of power and toughness in front of that Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah, that is 8 toughness. So I imagine that we're going to see Tyler use a pump from the Ronus the Indomitable to clear both the Whirler Virtuoso and the... Oh, it's actually, I'm sorry, it's 9 toughness. Yeah, so a pump from the Ronus will clear both those off the table.
He just seems reluctant to do it, but... Here we go. Use the Ronus ability to pump Carnage Tyrant. Oh no. Oh no, he is. Okay. See him pointing to his Ronus saying, I'm going to use that to pump that.
And now the Scarab God will die. Matt Kling will get it back next turn, but Matt Kling's going to have to tap out for that Scarab God again.
And by the way, Ronus got in there for a little damage.
Yeah. Drop Matt all the way down to 8 here.
The problem here is we've created a scenario where in 2 turns, Matt Kling can have a rather underwhelming Carnage Tyrant.
A 4/4 Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah.
Not so tyrannical. Angelic even, if you will.
Okay. Chandra Torture Defiance is the play for Matt Kling. He's sitting on his Scarab God here. Says, I'm going to do 2 to you. Get that up to 5. What does Matt Kling have here?
An important thing about Chandra, I think we've talked about this a little bit earlier this weekend, but against decks that have Vraska's Contempt, you almost always want to tick down your Chandra right away, unless they're a true control deck. You want to get value out of it before they just trade
one card for one card with it. Against these red-green decks, you can pretty freely just start taking up right away, especially if you have something like Whirler Virtuoso with energy in play. It's pretty easy to protect it.
All right, well, here comes an Earthshaker, Kenra. It's a bad situation for Matt Kling. Looks like he has something. He's that 4th Harness Lightning. He's going to use it on his Kenra, but you know what? Blossoming Defense is going to pump that up to 6. And he's going to get in with Ronus and the token. And that's going to be the game.
Wow.
Matt Kling did not have the energy to make a token after paying for that Harness Lightning.
Yeah,
so Tyler Schroeder takes the match.
The Harness Lightning got countered.
1. Yeah. So Tyler Schroeder is going to advance, and he is going to play against Aaron Barrich in the finals.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy magic.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what just happened there, the Harness Lightning did not resolve.
Right.
So the energy never, Matthew Kling never got the 3 energy from the Harness Lightning because the Blossoming Defense made it no longer have a legal target. And as a result, he didn't have the necessary energy to make a Thopter, and he lost.
Wow, because his Whirler Virtuoso couldn't block because of the ability of the Earthshaker Kenra. Let's take a look at our bracket real quick, and we'll see what's coming up. Aaron Barrich playing Sultai Constrictor, playing against Tyler Schroeder, playing Red-Green Monsters.
Perfect.
That's where Standard is right now. I kind of love it. I kind of love it. All right.
I also love it.
Yeah. We have a couple of brief messages, and then we're going to be bringing Marshall Sutcliffe and Reed Duke back in to call the finals. Here, one more round to go at our Standard Grand Prix Memphis.